Roger Federer's inner circle just said something that stopped the entire tennis world cold. The name they called the next legend wasn't Iga Swiatek. It wasn't Aryna Sabalenka. It wasn't Coco Gauff. Instead, those words were spoken about a 20-year-old player from the Philippines, Alex Eala. She is the next legend. Those exact words were delivered live on television by the man who coached the greatest player of his era. The entire sport heard it. And for a moment, tennis didn't react with cheers. It reacted with silence. But to understand why those words carried the weight of a Grand Slam trophy, you first have to understand the journey that led to them. Because what Alex Eala went through to reach this moment wasn't just impressive. It was almost impossible. And by the time this story ends, you'll understand exactly why the crowd went quiet, and why that silence meant everything. The beginning of the journey: picture a tennis court in Manacor, Spain. The sun is blazing. Clay dust rises off the red surface. Players glide across the court with a kind of smooth efficiency that only comes from years of elite training. And standing there, holding her racket tightly, is a 14-year-old girl from the Philippines. She has no ranking, no WTA points, no guarantees, just belief. Alex Eala had traveled halfway across the world to train at the legendary Rafa Nadal Academy, founded by none other than Rafael Nadal. This wasn't just a coaching decision. It was a gamble on greatness. Because the Nadal Academy doesn't produce casual players, produces competitors. And Eala was about to prove she belonged. The roots of a champion. Eala was born on May 23, 2005, in Quezon City in the Philippines. Athletic excellence already ran through her family. Her mother, Riza Maniego Eala, had once stood proudly on the podium at the 1985 Southeast Asian Games as a competitive swimmer. From the beginning, sport was part of her DNA. But tennis would become her obsession. The decision to move to Spain as a teenager changed everything. Within just 2 years at the Nadal Academy, Eala started sending quiet signals to the tennis world. In 2020, she captured the Junior Australian Open doubles title. In 2021, she added another historic achievement, the Junior French Open doubles championship. Then in 2022, she made history. She became the first Filipino ever to win a Grand Slam junior singles title, lifting the trophy at the US Open Junior Championships. Her junior ranking climbed to world number 2. But the professional tennis world barely noticed. Because junior success and professional success are two entirely different universes. The junior circuit rewards potential. The WTA Tour punishes inexperience. The harsh reality of the WTA: plenty of junior champions never survive the transition to the professional game. You can dominate under 18 competition, and then walk into a WTA event and lose in under an hour. That gap has swallowed many promising careers. And early in her professional journey, Eala experienced exactly that. Qualifying rounds, early exits, close losses. By the end of 2024, her ranking stood at world number 143. Not high enough to enter the biggest tournaments automatically. Not high enough to make headlines. To most observers, she was just another talented young player in a very crowded sport. But rankings don't measure what happens behind closed doors. They don't measure midnight training sessions. They don't capture hours spent rebuilding a serve. Or the quiet determination of a player preparing for a moment the world hasn't seen yet. And that moment was coming. The explosion. Miami 2025, March 2025. Miami Open. One of the most prestigious WTA 1000 tournaments in the world. Eala arrived as a wild card entry, ranked outside the top 100. No expectations. No pressure. Just opportunity. In the first round, she defeated American player Katie Volinets. Solid win. Nothing dramatic. Then came round 2. Eala stunned Yelena Ostapenko, the 2017 French Open champion. Now people started paying attention. But the real shock arrived in round 3. Standing across the net was Madison Keys, the reigning Australian Open champion and a top 5 player. The match wasn't close. Eala dismantled her 6-4, 6-2. Suddenly the tennis world stopped scrolling past her name. Then came the quarter-final. Against the world number 2. Eala Swiatek. A dominant champion. A multiple Grand Slam winner. One of the most intimidating competitors in the sport. And somehow, impossibly, Eala beat her in straight sets. She became the first Filipino player ever to defeat a top 10 opponent in the Open era. The crowd inside Hard Rock Stadium didn't know how to react. Some cheered. Some simply stared. Because a new star had just arrived without warning. The breakthrough Eala's run ended in the semi-finals against Jessica Pegula. It was a brutal 3-set battle. But even in defeat, the impact was enormous. That week changed everything. She earned 390 ranking points, or over $330,000 in prize money, or a jump from number 140 to number 75 in the world. But the real reward wasn't statistical. It was recognition. Even Rafael Nadal himself congratulated her publicly. The tennis world was finally watching. And in Switzerland, another legend was paying attention. The man who knows greatness, Paul Annacone, isn't just a coach. He guided Pete Sampras through championship seasons. He worked alongside Roger Federer during one of the most elegant eras in tennis history. He understands exactly what separates good players from legendary ones. So when he spoke about Eala on television, people listened. He praised her hand-eye coordination, her ability to take the ball early, her skill at redirecting pace, a trait that defined Federer's greatness. But then he said something even more important. He talked about her presence. Wherever she plays, fans follow. Thousands of Filipino supporters filling arenas across continents. The noise, flags, energy. It reminded some observers of the global phenomenon surrounding boxing icon Manny Pacquiao. Even former WTA star Eugenie Bouchard struggled to find a comparison. At one point she joked the closest thing might be a pop superstar like Taylor Swift. What legends see great champions recognize something before statistics confirm it. And other legends started noticing too. Martina Navratilova praised Eala's creativity and tactical intelligence. She described her as a clever left-hander who uses variety beautifully. But she also pointed out the next step. A stronger serve. More power. More belief. Because once those pieces fall into place, the ceiling becomes unlimited. The moment everything changed, which brings us back to that moment on live television. When Paul Annacone looked directly into the camera and said the words that froze the tennis world. She is the next legend. About a 20-year-old player from the Philippines. About a girl who arrived at the Nadal Academy with nothing but belief. About a player who went from world number 143 to defeating champions on the biggest stages. For a moment, the crowd didn't know how to react. So they did the only thing they could. They went silent. Because sometimes, when the future arrives earlier than expected, takes a second for the world to catch up. And in tennis, that future might just be named Alex Eala.